I know that this Christmas isn't the Christmas that any of us have been hoping for. And it's certainly not the Christmas that in this time last year we would have actually been anticipating getting. A phrase that's been used a lot in the last week or so is Christmas cancelled. And for a lot of people, especially those in Tier 4, this is probably very much how it feels. Now, those feelings are absolutely valid. It is hard to be missing friends and family. We've already missed a lot of events that we look forward to in the run-up to Christmas. Events that make us feel good, that provide what we think of when we think of this time of year, that cheer us up on a dismal winter day. But at the same time, I don't think that just because it's not going to be the same, that necessarily means that we can't have a proper Christmas. Especially if I think about what Christmas means to me as a Christian. And I move away from the commercial and sanitised version of the Christmas story that is presented for popular consumption. If we look at the nativity scenes that many of us have in our homes, the crib looks neat and tidy. Mary does not look like she's just given birth. Jesus doesn't look like a newborn. If we think of those lovely and cringeworthy nativities that children present for us, that some of us have watched on the video link this year, Mary grins as she plods along on the donkey all the way to Bethlehem at 9 months pregnant. Now, I know that Mary is much more full of grace than I could ever dream of being. But even so, I can't help but think that perhaps an emotion that we don't often think about when we consider the nativity story is fear, trepidation. And that would have applied to Mary and perhaps even more so to Joseph, who had found out in a dream that he's going to be stepdad to God's child. So I don't really feel like the nativity story is actually as neat as we tend to imagine it. What in fact I feel like we have in the nativity story is a terrified woman, an even more terrified husband, away from home, away from their friends, their support, and having to settle on that most special night of their lives on a stable, a cave, a very humble place that no doubt felt like they weren't doing justice to this great birth, to the birth of the Messiah. But it didn't matter, because we don't have to make ourselves and our surroundings enough. We don't have to be perfect. We have grace, and God's grace is sufficient. He makes us perfect in His image, and as He illustrates it by the choice of the manner at which His Son came into this world, the visitors, humble shepherds. He doesn't shine through us in a conventional way, in palaces and imperfection. He shines through our pain, through our brokenness, through our vulnerabilities. So in fact, for me, Christmas isn't really about jolly Santa Claus and presents. It isn't, though it's hugely important to me, primarily about seeing family. It's in fact first and foremost about grace being given to a broken and imperfect world. That's a proper Christmas. And that's the Christmas that we need now more than ever. So, do feel sad. Do have a cry. Don't hate yourself that some people had Christmas in 1914 and you should quit whinging. No. Have a whinge. It's human. And God loves you for being human. But remember that as we hold all of those that we miss in our hearts, and think of all those people who are finding this time of year particularly difficult, that we are loved, we are worthy, and we, in our simple, pared down Christmases, are enough.